Hi there. It was fun doing our second outdoor church last Sunday afternoon at Catcock Farm. We again had well over 30 people, which was a very encouraging response, and people really did seem to enjoy the event that was going on. One of the participants, Richard Evans, made what I thought was a very astute observation, and that is that Jesus himself spent much of his time meeting people outdoors, whether teaching or healing or feeding the 5,000 or whatever. Much of what he did was outdoors, and that's something that we'll probably reflect on in future outdoor churches. Now, I'm at the back of the Decoy Lake on Shapwick Heath, and this will be a fantastic location to do an outdoor church sometime in the future. And I think maybe next spring, early summer would be a time that we could maybe explore that option. Now, one of the poems that was highlighted at our last outdoor church has been resonating in my mind ever since. It happened to me also with one of the poems on a previous occasion, but the one this time was a poem by Anne Lewin in her book called Waiting for the Kingfisher. Actually, it's called Watching for the Kingfisher. And the poem is called Astringent Sweetness. And it really has been resonating with me ever since I read it. And I guess that's the power of poetry, isn't it? We can really encapsulate something deep in a few words. And this poem really does that. I watched the bees working on the teasel heads, and marvelled that from such sharp encounter they could draw sweetness. Could it be so for us, that holding on through pain, our difficulties will in time yield nourishment? I think it's quite a powerful poem, because so often we think of discomfort, pain, suffering as being at best inconvenient hurdles, at worst cruel interruptions to what life is meant to be about. And that's not wrong, but actually it's possible that God is doing something else through the pain, the discomfort and the suffering that may be quite uncomfortable to recognize, but actually it helps us to understand God's love and the depth of God's love even in the midst of our suffering. I think Anne Lewin's poem really encapsulates that in quite a powerful way. I know that there are people who've lived out this truth in ways far deeper and far more far-reaching than I ever have. And actually I'm confident of the truth of this poem because of what they have gone through and what they have lived through, and how their faith has deepened and been enhanced despite the suffering. You know, when we wonder what God is doing by allowing things like COVID-19, I think it's very possible that actually we need to see it in a much bigger and wider context. Sometime in the autumn, maybe early October, I plan to do an online presentation on why did God allow COVID-19? And it's something that I would be keen to throw open to as many as possible in this area who want to engage with the subject. And it's a complex subject, it's not a straightforward one. But actually, I think Anne Lewin's poem offers us a hint, a window to understand and see what God might be accomplishing through COVID-19. Let me read the poem again, because it's a beautiful one that is superficially simple and yet actually really quite profound. It's called astringent sweetness. I watched the bees working the teasel heads and marvelled that from such sharp encounter they could draw sweetness. Could it be so for us, that holding on through pain, our difficulties will in time yield nourishment?